Hey everybody, let's talk today about how the pyramids were made. This is the only true thing we know. We have no idea. But as time goes on, we get more and more evidence as to how possibly they were made. Besides the three great pyramids at Giza, there are many pyramids scattered throughout the rest of Egypt as well as around the world, from Mexico to China and many places in between. Obviously, I'm talking about the three major pyramids at the Giza Plateau, so that's what we're going to focus on. I was reading the other day that a theory they now have is that they flattened all of the land and made sure it was flat with an ingenious method. It has to do with digging trenches and putting water in the trenches so that the water would level itself out. I think there's a lot of credence to this theory because in that area, the Egyptians had ingenious ways of irrigating their fields through the Nile Delta. Through these irrigation techniques, you could create channels in a square and you could see how high the water is and therefore straighten it out. It's kind of hard to explain with my hands awkwardly in front of my face, but hopefully you get the idea. Once you realize the ground is flat, then you put the rocks on top and you can make barriers at each level of the pyramid to flatten it out, and you could measure it with water. When you have nothing else to measure with, water will always work because water will evenly distribute flat, and that's why there's still liquid inside of a level. That concept has been known since prehistoric times. Now, another thing I found out about the pyramids is that within each of the three pyramids, there are huge granite rocks that form the middle of the pyramid. There's actually beautiful carvings inside, and where the king's chamber is inside has huge granite rocks. Some of them were naturally there, but some of them had to be dragged there. The main thing is the inside of the pyramid is made up of huge chunks of granite, some of which were there, as well as dirt and small rocks. That creates a lot of the interior of it and the shape, and on the outside are where the huge blocks were. Now, the huge blocks were obviously quarried and brought over there. Some of them are so big that it's just staggering to think of how they may have done it. Obviously, many people dragging them there over logs is one way. Another way is potentially creating channels similar to the technique with water I was talking about earlier. If you dig a trench and bring water, you often see in diagrams and even cartoons of the pyramid that there are ramps around the exterior ascending. Possibly those were used. Well, I should say it's a virtual certainty that those were used a lot of the time. And another fascinating thing is on the very apex of the pyramid, a lot of people think there was a gold capstone. Now, that would have been a sight to see. I wonder how big that capstone would have been and if it really was there. The only conclusion that we can come up with is that the level of genius and dedication to the job is so impressive, and it's inspiring 2,500 years later. I have a quick question for you. What do you think is older, the Sphinx or the pyramid? I'll be talking about that at a later date because I have a lot of thoughts about the Sphinx. It's such a riddle, but we'll have to wait till later. Hopefully you found this informative. And if you know even more than me about the pyramids, that's wonderful, because we're only scratching the surface of talking about pyramids. See you later.